Hey everybody, this is Tall Gamer Junkie. I want to welcome you all back to my channel. So, if you've seen the title, you're probably wondering what I mean by the two Maxes. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the comic book isn't canon to the actual game. This is set in a different timeline, but the events of the Life is Strange game happen. But everything after the game finishes is completely different. So I thought it'd be interesting to discuss which one of these two Maxes, the game and the comic, is stronger, in their powers. Now, I guess if you've read the comic, you can be like, oh no, Max from the comic is stronger than the one from the game. But is she though? That's what I want to discuss. So anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments below when it's done if you think the comic book Max or the game Max is stronger. Anyways, let's get started. Now, the thing about the comic book is we don't know exactly what Max did in the comic. When you play the game, okay, you make the choices and you know what ending you get. You know how you played Max and how you made her. You decided what type of person she was going to be, what type of friends you made, and that. Did you forgive Victoria? Were you mean to her? Like, did you try to have Max and Warren get together, or were you just Pricefield? And most importantly, did you decide to sacrifice Arcadia Bay to save Chloe, or save Chloe by sacrificing Arcadia Bay? Well, now, while the comic doesn't go into too much detail, it does tell you that Max chose to save Chloe's life and sacrifice Arcadia Bay. Now, with that being said, it's not clear on what happens in the game after Max and Chloe leave Arcadia Bay. We do know that from Life is Strange 2, Max has been trying to submit photos into an art gallery, and she's still with Chloe. You can also find the photo of her and Chloe in David's trailer in episode 5 of Life is Strange 2 if she sacrificed Arcadia Bay to save Chloe. Now, when it comes to comic book Chloe, we find out that she had a completely, I wouldn't say completely different, but just a different life. She ended up going back to Seattle, I believe it was, with Chloe, and the two met up with the High Seas band, and they became friends. And that's when Max's powers started fritzing up, and she had to go to an alternate timeline. And I guess you can say, oh, okay, because Max could go to an alternate timeline, and that means, like, I guess you can bring up the point of issue 4 of Life is Strange, that, oh no, Max chose to go to a timeline. She didn't really choose in my sense, she was guided, but I'll go into that later, but right now I just want to go over, in case any of you don't know what Max's powers are. These are, because she can do so much more than rewind. She has time manipulating powers, and I'm pretty sure if Max from the game can do it, then that means Max in the comic book can do it. Okay, so they both can rewind time. This is pretty clear. Now, I had heard some people say Max has the ability to teleport, but that's really just Max moving to a new location and rewinding. So I guess some people who don't know Max has the rewind power says that she can teleport, but I don't think that's really teleporting. Why do I keep saying like? Take a look at it was in, I believe, issue 12 of Life is Strange Strings, was it? And Max grabbed Chloe's beanie and she put it on her head, and Chloe was confused, and Max just said, oh no, I just walked over, took off your beanie and rewinded time, and Chloe thought she teleported. So that's like, technically it's not teleporting, but I'm not gonna consider it. Both can see into the future. I don't know if this only applies to just the fate of Arcadia Bay, but both had visions of Arcadia Bay being destroyed. And well, I'm assuming, because if the comic book is based off the one of the game's endings, then you have to assume that they went through the same things. Like, I mean, it'd be pretty stupid if the comic decided to retcon the game, you know what I mean? The next powers that Max has is freeze. If you remember that in episode 2 where Kate was going to commit suicide, she ended up freezing time just to stop it. And then I guess you can say she has an ability to pause, in a sense. Now this is, if you remember, there are those events in Life is Strange, like for example when Max first gets the ability to rewind time, and then you have to figure out a way to save Chloe by grabbing that little mallet in the bathroom and then using that on the glass alarm and then pressing it. If you just let the timer run out, then the game stops. Same as in episode 2 with the train, when Chloe's about to get hit by the train, time freezes if it gets too close. So, well, it doesn't really freeze, but I think the game in itself just pauses, but I guess you can call this an ability, pause, which is completely different to freeze. If you want to, like, I'm sure people can get into that if you want. But then there's, she has the ability to travel back in time, like go to the past. There's what she did in episode 3 where she saved William from the car crash, and I've actually looked it up. This ability is called focus, because when Max has to focus on the picture, that's when you're using the left and right analog sticks to make it clearer. That's what the ability is called, focus, because you have to focus. Okay, but anyways, let's continue on with this. Now that you know what the powers are, let's go over which Max is stronger. Now, for reason in case any of you are wondering, you're going to be probably be going, oh no, you totally forgot the power, how she can travel to alternate dimensions. But that only applies to the comic. The powers I was talking about are the same powers that the Max from the game and the comic have. Now, interesting thing is, I believe, this is my personal opinion, and I'm going to let you know why. I don't know if it'll interest you or not, but I do think it's interesting. I believe that the Max that's stronger is the one from the game. Now, I bet you're wondering, okay, if Max can travel to multiple realities, why is she stronger? Now, when you're reading the comics from the beginning, Max is subconsciously traveling between realities, and she doesn't know why. And this gets up to a point where it's basically going to kill her. So Max has to travel to an alternate reality. And she didn't even end up choosing. She was brought there. She let herself be guided. And you later find out that Tristan got his powers on the same day Max was brought there. So really, it's speculated that Max was brought to this timeline because of Tristan. And he has the power to disappear, but he also has the power to travel to alternate realities. Like, he was actually able to go with Max into that, I forget what it was called, that world beyond worlds, that void area. And like beyond the photograph, like, okay, let's just call it the photoverse, but anyways, Tristan was able to go back to Max's original timeline, but Max, no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't go there. She's stuck. And one of the things that's also interesting, when you're reading the first of the few comics, in issue 3, you end up seeing Warren. And Warren was with a different Max, and this is when the diner got destroyed, but Max was there with Warren. I mean, it didn't get destroyed. She saved the diner from blowing up, but the storm didn't destroy the diner. So she's with him, and she's actually taken over the body of another Max, which is pretty interesting, because as you all know, like when Max rewinded time in episode 3, and then you know, to save William, and then it went back to the present time. Her body was on, I guess you could call it autopilot, you know, and this other conscious was taking over before she took control of her body again. Now, that's actually another video I want to make. What happens what happens to the previous Max when Max goes back to her body, you know? I'll come up with a better title. But I don't think that the Max in the game was affected by this, because Max in the comics, had to leave her Chloe. Yet in the ending with Max, in the game where she sacrificed Chloe to save Arcadia Bay, you can see Max and Chloe together. They're in the photo, smiling. I'm pretty sure the photo was taken in the desert where David's staying with Sean's mum and Sarah and the other people. I was about to call her Karen. I was like, what? No, it's Sarah. Yeah, it's Sarah. Pretty sure it is. So I do think that this Max wasn't affected by the comic book Max, or better yet, was immune to it for some reason. Like, maybe this is because she is the original Max. Like, if you remember, in episode 5, when Max's powers are going all screwy, she ends up talking to another version of her called, some people say she's Evil Max or Other Max. I just call her Bitchy Max because she's got an attitude. But yeah, I do believe that the Max from the game is stronger, because she's not suffering from these temporal loops and jumping back and forth between timelines. And I do believe it's because she is the first Max Caulfield to rewind time. You know, because the comic states that there are an infinite number of parallel universes. I do believe in the game, that is the first ever universe where Max gets powers. So anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Let me know in the comments section what you think. Do you believe Max in the comic is stronger, or will she end up becoming stronger than the game counterpart? Or whether or not you think the game Max will be stronger or always stay stronger than the comic book Max. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you like this video, leave a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. This is Tall Gamer Junkie, signing off.